Malevolence 3 Killer is the final chapter of the Malevolence trilogy. I was a big fan of Malevolence back when it came out, and I had championed it for years. And I know a lot of people are harsh on it because it's ultra low budget and the acting is rocky, it doesn't look all that great, it's cheap, whatever. But there's such a great atmosphere to it, and it's clearly a love letter to 80s slashers, namely the Friday the 13th franchise, and namely, in that franchise, Friday the 13th Part 2. He even lifts the look of Jason for this one with the sack head, and he borrows Michael Myers' outfit because he was wearing what looks like a mechanic's outfit. So you get heavy vibes of both Halloween and Friday the 13th. And so, you know, they made Bereavement, which was a prequel, and then years and years and years had passed, and I just thought that this project was dead, it was never going to happen, and I gave up on it. And then, kind of out of nowhere, a trailer dropped, and I was like, it's got to be fake. This isn't really happening. It was really happening, and it was like, oh my god, I want to get to it. And then it was released, and this was like a few months back, and I was going to watch it, and it just, I have my reasons for why I didn't. They're all lame, to be completely honest, but it was one of those things where I didn't want to pay $7 to watch it. You know, I wanted to buy it, whatever. But yesterday, well, 2 days ago now, it dropped on Prime, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to watch it, and if I love it, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a copy, and I'm going to add it to my collection. I'll add it eventually anyways, but I would rush to buying it. Am I going to buy this movie anytime soon? No. Will I eventually buy it to complete my trilogy? Yeah, of course. I'm a completist, so I'm going to. Now, I do want to say, I get that there was a lot of behind-the-scenes issues here. Stephen Mena, who made this film, let me tell you, this guy willed this damn film into existence. When those opening credits started, and I saw edited by, director of photography, produced, written, directed, all by this guy. I was like, oh man, this guy made it happen. And then when I look, and you know, Malevolence has a $200,000 budget, and then Bereavement, I want to say, was way higher, like $1 million or more. It was a much higher budget. It has Alexandra Daddario and Michael Biehn, so it's got some names in there. It was definitely the highest production value of the lot. But then I looked on this one, and it was only $75,000. So he went like low, high, way low, like even lower than the first one. And I was like, okay, here we go. And this film suffers greatly because of it. I think that if he had a budget, he could have made the proper Malevolence 3 that he wanted to and close out his chapter. But I think that this guy got to this place and he was like, I'm either making this film and it's happening, or I could wait it out and it'll pretty much probably never happen. And so he went into it with $75,000 and tried to finish it up. It's ambitious, I'll tell you that, because the opening of this takes place Halloween 2 style, like the night of the end of the first one, which the first one is, over a decade old now. And to do a right then there night after and make it like a period piece of sorts, that's ambitious for a $75,000 budget. And, of course, these actors, there was a kid that, from the last one who survived. And of course that kid can't come back because that kid would be in her 20s by now. So you run into those kinds of issues. They didn't recast them. I'm sure you can figure out what happens. But I was like, oh, okay, so he's starting here. That's cool. And this whole thing takes place like the next day. So I really loved that about it. Other things that I liked about it, I really liked the music. It felt very Friday the 13th to me, and I enjoyed the hell out of that. I also like that the killer remains maskless throughout the film. In most of these slasher franchises, we'll talk about Friday the 13th because that's the one it's aping from the most here. Jason always goes and finds his mask again or whatever. Michael Myers, same thing. He goes and he finds his mask again. But once he's unmasked in the first movie, he stays unmasked for the rest of the film. So I thought that that was neat. It was like, I don't need this shit anymore. Like, I'm out there. I'm the killer. You know, I don't need a mask. I dug that about it. I don't really have much else I liked about the movie. That sucks. I don't want to give this film a negative review. I was very bummed while watching it. And I'll tell you this. This is one of those situations where I think people would ask me, like, seeing as how you didn't really like the movie very much, would you have rather this never got made? And for you to always wonder and hope, you know, of the film it would have been? Or are you just happy to have finally got the closing chapter of a film? I honestly don't know. I think I lean more towards I'm glad that this got made finally. Like, I'm glad that it exists. It's not horrendous or anything. Like, I've seen stuff where it's like, no, that shouldn't have got made. Like, that was a stain on this franchise. Like a freaking Candyman 3 or something. Day of the Dead. Awful. I mean, dreadful. That is an embarrassment to the franchise. Or like, Sleepaway Camp, Survivor, or Sleepaway Camp, Return to Sleepaway Camp, which I also think is just horrendous in every way. No, this isn't horrendous. It has a very similar feel to the first one. Honestly, I've only seen Bereavement once. I remember enjoying it, but Malevolence is something I've seen. I've done a review here on Slasher Sunday of it. It's a film I really like, and I've seen a bunch of times. But Bereavement, I saw once. I dug it, and I just never went back to it for some reason. I would like to watch it again. But this is more of a sequel to Malevolence, since Bereavement's like a prequel that takes place like 10 years before. But yeah, I mean, the things that I didn't like, I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't like any of the dialogue. I didn't like any of the acting. I didn't like any of the kills. I didn't like any of the scares. I didn't like any of the setups for the scares. I thought it was all super generic. Oh, another thing I liked. There we go. This is fucking pathetic. This is like silly, but all the girls were super adorable. But I didn't care for any of them, even though they were physically attractive. Yes, and I don't know if they were bad actresses or not. To be honest, they didn't act very good in this movie, and I didn't like or care about anybody. It wasn't even a like, oh, this chick's such a bitch, I hate her, I hope she dies. No, I didn't have an emotion otherwise. Like, they die, it's like, okay. Like, I didn't have any emotional attachment or detachment from that person. I wasn't wanting them to die. I wasn't wanting them to live. They just kind of spoke. It is a very simple film. And yes, this comes down to budget. This comes down to this guy trying to get this movie done. He was plagued with production issues for years. And I think he just got together what he could. And he did his damn best that he had, and this is what we got. But yeah, there's not a single bit of gore. There's not a clever kill. There's not a well-crafted scare. There's not, it's all just so by the book, generic. And it's a shame to end the series like this. It really is. And I don't know. It's a bummer. And I don't want to talk shit about the movie. I don't like giving movies like this a bad review at all. But I am glad that it finally got made. It just, I wish it would have been a lot better than it was. So kudos to Steven for sticking to his vision and his dream and finishing this trilogy the way that he wanted to from the beginning, as far as like having 3 films. I'm sure this isn't the film he wanted it to be, and that's a shame, but at least he got it done, right? So anyway, let me know if you saw it. Let me know if you've seen any of them. Let me know what your rankings of these are. I think it's in order for me, just 1, 2, 3, that's my ranking. And let me know if it's on Prime, as I said. So if you're looking forward to it. All three are in Prime. So if you've never even heard of this, you can watch 1, 2, 3 all back to back right on Amazon Prime. So there you go. Check them out. Let me know what you thought. All right, guys.